Hi, this is Cynthia Ortiz. It is October 28th, 2021, Thursday at 2:46 p.m. These are the Charles Perry Stalker podcast. And so we do the disclaimer always. We use the but-for analysis here, or standard, which is but for Mr. Perry causing me injury in the forum state of Oklahoma, where apparently he now lives. There wouldn't be a need for documenting what he's doing to me. Everybody who would talk to anybody who's an expert in stalking, harassment, that type of thing, would tell you you've got to document what happens to you, because if you go to court, you got to prove they're stalking. Stalking is hard to prove. You can have a guy maybe leave a rose on your car. On your car or on your porch. So what's that? That's not really a crime, is it? Then maybe you move and you're trying to protect your address and you don't want the guy to know where you are. And then here comes another rose. So what's the rose for? I mean, what's that supposed to do? It's going to make you feel creeped out. If this is a stalker, it's not somebody that you care about. It's not somebody you want in your life. So when you call the cop's going to come to your house and go, okay, so we left a rose. What about it? What am I supposed to do with this? I have to go to court. I can't charge somebody for leaving a rose on your porch, and as the victim, you're freaking out. You're like, but you don't understand. The bitch knows where I live. I mean, this is a stalker. This is just an act of stalking. He did this to let me know he knows where I am. And so it's kind of hard. I mean, it's kind of hard for a police officer and a prosecutor to deal with stalking. So you really have to do diligence in collecting over time everything they do, and then it kind of accumulates, and then you got the cumulative effect that you enter all this stuff in at once. Stalking can be deadly. I've been almost killed a couple times, and I know Mr. Perry denies that, and he's full of shit. So, I mean, we're talking about somebody who went into court and claimed he was a victim of a political vendetta, and there's no political rants by me at him at all, anywhere. He's not relevant. He never was. I was in politics all my life. I already had relationships built with people with power, and they had established relationships, and he was the new guy. So he's very delusional in a lot of things that he's said and done, and thinking that he's got people fooled. We're like, we need the list of that, because I'm sorry, but I don't think people are as stupid as you think they are. So there's the but for. Apply the reasonable person standard. Apply the First Amendment. Apply all constitutional fucking amendments. I mean, I shouldn't even have to say that. We're all entitled to our civil rights, and for whatever reason, I have to, make that disclaimer, and then of course use allegedly. So this was the coolest thing I've seen in a while. I'm gonna play it, but to me, this, again, isn't about politics. This is not a political ad. Mr. Perry, I live in Oklahoma, and I have for 7 years. I lived in Lubbock for 6. Didn't live in Perry's district, ever. I lived in John Frulo's district, and I had left Lubbock in November 2013 before he ran for Senate. Again, you don't worry about somebody who's legislating in a state where you don't live, right? And if I needed something, I already had people that I worked with before I ever met Mr. Perry. I call them. I don't call the new guy who doesn't know anyone. If I want to, and I didn't do Texas legislation. There's not one single. I rant like a motherfucker when I'm pissed off. If I'm pissed, you're gonna know exactly what I'm pissed about. You're gonna know just how pissed off I am. You're gonna know who I'm pissed at and why. I don't mix words. I don't pull punches. I'll go at you if you piss me off. And I don't fight or anything, but I'll have a verbal conversation with you about why I'm upset. You're going to know. And the first goal is to resolve the problem. The second goal is to, you want to, in this country, whether it's a friend or a relative or a government official, always the goal is, let's talk about the problem as grown-ups in a professional manner, and let's try to resolve this in a way that both of us are happy. Right? Isn't that not what we do? So there would be at least a conversation, an email to Mr. Perry or a text where I'm saying to him, I'm not happy about your position on XYZ. Keeping in mind, this is an 86% Republican demographic. So whatever, let's say I did have a political vendetta and I kick him out of office, whoever takes his place is going to be the same. They don't have a choice. That's the voter demand in his district, and he's the smallest in the state. He's like one of the fucking smallest in the state. So as an organization, you're not going to spend time and money and resources to attack somebody who doesn't matter. And even Charles said Lubbock struggles to have a voice in Austin. Okay, I never went to Austin to push anything. I was never in Austin. Now, we did some kind of campaign with Jason Moore on a caucus to elect speaker, and Charles and I were on the same page on that. There were 16 state representatives that asked for a caucus to elect the Speaker of the House, and we were not against each other or at odds on that issue, and that's the only state issue I worked on ever. So in that case, I sat down and called a bunch of state representatives and asked them to support that effort. Instead of, I guess, a paper ballot vote to elect the Speaker of the House, it was a caucus. The Democrats did a caucus. We wanted to do the same. And I was hired by Jason Moore to do that. I was paid. Charles was one that voted in with us. So what the hell is the beef? What the hell's the problem? That you imagined, that you went into a court of law and you made that claim. And still everybody's asking for, where's the beef? Show the proof, bitch. Put up or shut up. So if you lie about that in court, under oath, you'll lie about anything, anywhere, won't you? Right. So this is not about politics. I don't live in Texas. I haven't voted since 2012. I didn't want to have to deal with him. So I didn't want him to find me either. You got an elected official that can pull up voting records and voting registration and all that. And I know that Oklahoma has some protections for women who are victims of domestic violence. Stalking is a domestic violence crime. I don't trust it. I really don't. I have a protected address. Mr. Perry's already got cameras in my apartment, in my house. So he knows exactly where I live, whether he wants to admit that publicly or not. He's been in my car. They've been recorded talking about why my registration isn't in my car. Because Terry Wagner told me to put it in my car, just like you told him to do. Because you want that. You want my title. You want my car. All that stuff that we've said over and over and over. You've been recorded like so many times. So I have the protected address. He's already breached it. And so I'm not going to trust the voter registration. I haven't even voted. I'm still a Republican. I'm very fiscally conservative. I'm probably a little bit more libertarian on social issues. But I don't live in Texas, so what fucking difference does it make? I haven't voted. I've not campaigned for anybody. I've not donated to any campaigns. I'm really stepped completely out of politics altogether, only because I had to. Mr. Perry made these false accusations. There's not one shred of evidence that I was mad at him about any political issue at all. And what good would it do to attack somebody who has no relevance? No relevance at all. Smallest district in the state where I don't even live. So he's been trying to starve me out of Oklahoma back to Texas so that all of a sudden it's relevant now. So we've duly noted that for the record too. He's been trying to do that for a long time. I'm going to take all her money. Her parents owe her a shit ton of money from 2007. She found out about it, asked them for it. We called him and told them not to give it to her. Everybody she's tried to get work with, he calls them, don't give her work. Because we want her starved and calling her ex-husband, come get me and take me back to Texas. Because we can't make this political ad and political vendetta work if she doesn't even live in the state. Doesn't matter to her what we do. She doesn't live here. The laws of Texas don't govern her. Right? Except what ends up, we have you on economic abuse and grand larceny with intent to coerce, conversion with intent to coerce, is all that did. So we've got actually a criminal matter here. Stalking is a crime. It's felony. For him, it's federal, except now we think he lives in Oklahoma. His residency is in question. There's been some calls made to people in Lubbock. When's the last time you saw him? Golly, it's been a while. When's the last time you saw him with his wife, Jackie? Even longer. I don't even remember. So he's going to have to, first of all, prove the political vendetta or shut up about the political vendetta. You don't have one. You're not worthy of one. You're not relevant. If you were in Dallas or Houston and your demographic was more 50-50 Republican Democrat, and we could flip you, and now you're a pro-life vote, let's say it was about abortion. You're a pro-life vote right now, and I don't want that. I want to flip it and get a Democrat in there to vote pro-choice. It'd have to be a 50-50 demographic in order for me to do that. It's not going to happen in Lubbock. Lubbock is very, very conservative. 86% Republican. That is that demographic. So why would I focus on trying to get rid of you and get somebody else in there who's going to vote the same way? Doesn't even make sense. There's not anything said by me to anyone at all. I'm mad at Charles for his position on this or his position on that, particularly prior to 2011 when I had those Facebook messages to my friends that didn't even live in Lubbock. I kept my mouth shut for 4 years. Sound like a political vendetta to you? You're getting stalked and you don't tell anybody but a few close friends for 4 years. You move twice and then you say something to the media. And the only reason I did that is I'm not going to be Chandra Levy. I'm not. And nobody has kicked your criminal ass harder than me and my guys. And I can't do it by myself, Mr. Perry. You keep asking me who told and who did they tell, but you're acting like you don't get it. You act like there's actually, it's the weirdest thing. It's like 1 minute, I'm not in a hurricane. Who's making the wind blow? It's that kind of nonsense that doesn't even make sense. The crap he acts like there's no hurricane, but he wants to know who's making the wind blow. Wow, okay, who's telling? But I'm going to keep doing the same thing every day like there's nobody actually investigating me. So these were 2011. Look at the date on that. These are about him pulling up behind my house. And those guys in Manford properly made an assessment here when they read this. He's pulling up behind her house, watching her. He's showing up at a restaurant, looking for her. She left. He hacked my phone, so he's seeing my text between my friend Cheryl and I about going to Carino's, and we went every Wednesday. But one Wednesday, I flipping forgot what day it was. I had a whole bunch of stuff to do. I had a whole bunch of errands to run. I go run my errands. I get back home, and I look at my phone, and Cheryl is texting me, and she's like, "Where you at? Are you coming?" And I text her back, "No, I've been running errands." And I forgot it was even Wednesday. I could take a shower now. I haven't taken a shower yet. But by the time I get there, you guys are going to be ready to leave, so I'm just going to skip it tonight. When it wasn't probably 20 minutes later, maybe 15, 20 minutes later, she calls me. She goes, "You're not going to believe who walked in." "What do you mean?" "Charles Perry walked in, walked back where I was, shot me a dirty look, and left. Wasn't eating there." And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, well, let's say he's hacked my phone and he's GPS'd it. So he knows where I am, right? But that night, I forgot my phone at home while I go run errands. So he knew I left, but he didn't know where I was. So he goes to where I usually would be, looking for me. And the only way he could know I left my home, cameras in my house. So these days, the use of technology to stalk is very commonly voyeurism and hacking or cloning. Charles actually cloned my phone. So you run a test on my phone and you're not going to find anything. It's going to be on his phone. So let's say TPD comes and knocks on my door and they go, "Well, we would like to see if he's really hacked your phone. How about we run some tests on it?" And I go, "Oh, sure." And actually, they did that when I was in Sapulpa. Didn't really find anything. I think they said the results were inconclusive. He cloned it. And I was talking to a New Mexico State, they call him something. Shit. They have a term for it. It's a detective. But New Mexico State Police have a different word for it. I apologize to, maybe it's agent. I think it's agent. He was investigating my parents for child abuse. They actually had one of their facilities shut down as a result of the child abuse that was going on there, and I had to apologize to a lot of kids they hurt, and it was not fun for me, Mr. Perry. Keep that in mind when you do things to me, how that's going to affect your children, because I got a lot of phone calls from a lot of tearful young kids that my parents hurt pretty bad, ruined futures. I had planned this and they ruined it in this way. Here's what they did. There was a lot of stuff going on. So they tell me in an email they're gonna run an inspection a certain way and come back and say we found nothing wrong, like maybe they'd been tipped off. And I said, well, I think what's going on here is this state senator is stalking me, and I think he's helping them. And so he's hacked me, and and the guy starts going, no, he's cloned you. And I go, what do you mean, cloned me? At the time, I didn't know what that was exactly. No, they didn't hack you, they cloned you. And we're arguing back and forth, and I'm like, What do you mean what is that? Well, they didn't hack you. They cloned you. They cloned me. My phone? Yeah, they cloned your phone. I go, what? Okay. Oh my God. What the fuck is that? So you run a check on my phone. There's nothing going to show up. It's going to be on his phone. My guys know that. Believe me, they know that. There's a lot of stuff. They probably knew that before and just didn't tell me. There's a lot of stuff they don't, because I rant like a motherfucker. They don't always want stuff out, and they don't want me slipping. And they know my strengths and weaknesses, and they know that I rant like a motherfucker and something might slip out. So if they don't want me to accidentally let something slip out when I'm ranting like a motherfucker, they don't tell me. I'm not told. So when Mr. Perry asks who's my leaks, I'm not told. And I've said that. And he'll still ask. And I'm like, okay, we're not getting the appropriate response for the words just said to you. We're not. You're not responding normally or appropriately or intellectually to the words just said to you, because for 6 years I've said I'm not told that, and I wouldn't help you if I was. I want for you to be in jail. I don't want you bothering me anymore. And it's like right over his head. So anyways, this was her email talking about what happened that day. So Lucky and Mike and all those guys out there were looking at it and going, you know how many times I've pulled up behind a woman's home that's not my wife and watched her in her backyard? Never. It's weirdo. You know how many times I've gone to a restaurant to spy on a woman that is not my wife, or had my staff do it? Never. Because it's weirdo. You know how many times I've texted somebody, you lose, you're stuck, you have no control, even if they made a mistake? Never. Because it's weirdo. And none of that is what you do to pass a law in Texas. So Mr. Perry seems to be very confused as to what duties are as a legislator. So he's actually in office because our guys wanted him in public. The public is entitled to scrutinize everything about his personal life. He works for them. They have the right to hire him or not. And they have the right to be not be factually ignorant, like some of the judges Perry buys. They want to know what's going on. Do I want you to work for me and represent me when you've got a stalker problem and you practically live in another state? Probably not. We're all for it, because then our detectives can get to him undercover, and he won't know if he's talking to a voter or a potential campaign donor or one of our guys. He's already talked to a couple of them. They all have. They just didn't know that's who they were talking to. It's not that hard. So we got this, and they're going, this is not part of his legislative duties. It's not. This is stalking. He's doing exactly what she says. Okay, so that's that. We've covered this and so many times, it's not even funny. It's kind of making everybody want to throw up at the need for repeat. But this is the criminology of it.
You're famously drawn to, what's the right word? Destructive men. I read the Tatler too. These men that you've brought down. I'm sure you think yourself superior to them. Superior to sad little maniacs with no power in the world, no form of expression, no impact. Besides their sad little crimes. They are exterminators.
You think the women they killed are bugs? Rats?
You define their very existence. You're the most important thing to happen to them. I am the leader of men, Agent. Any battle, I will be the victim, because that is the world I am myself, Agent. You are the bug that got away.
Yep, and then there's this. We want to know who the Sheriff Rowan is in this deal. Who's the bitch of the sex pervert?
Come to watch TV?
It was on.
Playing a lot of stories about you. They can't get enough of you.
What the hell is she doing?
She's telling us where she is.
You pull her out now.
I can't. Her HT's off. Let's go back.
You have a line of sight?
Negative. No visual.
I can picture you sitting here, relaxing at night.
You thinking about me?
You remind me of someone. My father. My daddy. He was a sheriff.
The sheriff? You must have adored him.
bet I did. He died before I left home for good. You know, he used to take me for root beer floats. I'm a soda jerk who made them. He was not a kind man. I wonder why I chose to be around kids.
That's why I chose to be around kids.
Maybe. Hadn't thought of that. There was just one time we found this neighbor boy crying because of the soda jerk's meanness. If there's one thing my daddy couldn't stand, it was someone who picked on folks weaker than them. I told the boy to come inside with us. And when my daddy, Sheriff, walked into that store, the soda jerk cowered. He got small.
How did that make you feel? Seeing the power your daddy had.
It was intoxicating. No, I didn't have that word at the time. How does it feel when your people, your women, give themselves over to you?
It feels intoxicating. You know, I understand your daddy. I've dedicated my life to helping my girls. It makes me feel, like your daddy felt, I guess.
Notice he says he's dedicated his life to helping his girls. The girls he helps are basically his slaves, sex slaves. He's got a prostitution business that he's running out of the basement of this building in this episode. This is Clarice from CBS Paramount. That's my favorite show. Everybody knows I've got a little bit of Clarice, a little bit of Milan, a little bit of Katniss, a little bit of Brenda Lee Johnson all rolled up into me. So this guy is defining sex slavery as help. That's what Mr. Perry does. He does exactly the same thing. I've given to you, but what he did is he ran customers out of my club that were paying customers and that were my business. He ran my business off because my life looks vastly different now than it did before I met him. And domestic abuse is defined by one person is trying to exert control over another by doing acts of emotional abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse, and economic abuse. So I have my own business and I'm making money, and he's making phone calls to run off that business, and then he'll give me money. So basically, he's taking my steak and here's your canned food, and I gave. Well, Hitler did the same thing. All these Jews had a whole lot of money from their own businesses that they made all by themselves. Nobody helped them. They worked hard. And then Hitler comes in, rips families apart, takes these people, their homes away, their belongings, everything they worked for, all their lives to build, takes all that from them, puts them in a concentration camp so he can say he gave them a place to live, he gave them food. It was nothing like what they had on their own. That's the mindset that we're dealing with in somebody who has I'm Lord over you, I'm going to control you. And again, we're talking about criminology here. We're not talking about politics. We're talking about control. Men who have a mommy issue and now they hate women and they want to control women. Women are bugs to be exterminated. And that makes them feel power. They're pathetic. Now, I'm going to tell you something. When you spend all day long sitting around watching women on a TV screen, they're not on it. There's nothing real there. You're fantasizing about this woman and she's not fantasizing about you. She's not fantasizing about you. So it's only one way. It's just pretend land. Just like a little child. A little child can sit and watch TV. You know, a 1-2-year-old little kid play with dolls, unicorns, and watch TV and pretend. My kids did it when they were little. They played, Buzz Lightyear and Woody and would watch the, Toy Story and pretend. Or Cars. Or, your skill set is not above a child. A young, Very, very young child. And there's nothing sexy about that. Nothing. You're a turnoff. Remember, we have a witness. Charles Perry, as long as I've known him, he will troll women. He'll break in their homes. Either he'll pay the landlord, he'll pay the maintenance guy, he'll get a locksmith, or he'll get a bump key, and he gets in the house and he puts cameras in the home. Then he sells watch time on the dark web. It goes all over the internet, all over the world, and people have complained, Mr. Perry. That's why you have cops on ya. And you don't, it's a need to know. It's child pornography. You're a sex pervert, just like the guy said. He said he'll get them fired. Then he makes sure they can't find work. He'll hack them, see where they're applying for work. Make some phone calls, make sure they can't get work. Then they lose their home. Then he has the ex take the kids away. He's a sexual, dysfunctional sadist. He loves getting women hysterical, and then he'll go rub one out. Did he do that to Cynthia? My guy goes, yep. And he goes, well, I'm glad somebody's finally putting a stop to it. I'm sick of sleeping with one eye opened. Apparently, Mr. Perry talked with this individual and was attempting to recruit him into his business or get him to invest in it or something, and it creeped the guy out. Creeped him the fuck out. You creep everybody out. I don't think you get that. There's nothing hot and sexy about what you do. I'm going to tell you something. My ex-husband got a date with me pretty quick. So did Saeed. So did everybody I've gone out with. So did Brandon. Fabian could get a date with me in a heartbeat. You'll never get one. You've been rejected for a decade, and that is the best you can do. So, I want to know, what control and power do you have? All you do is sit around all day and bother everybody and do nothing at all that a 1-year-old little girl can't do. You're absorbed and consumed with crime. Your sad little maniac crime. There's no power. Your very existence is defined by your crime. You have nothing else. No other claim to fame. None. So, where's the control? Where's the power? Really, if I'm controlling your day and all your time and all your money, I control you. Don't I? You're willing to go to prison to sit around, be a sad, pathetic little nobody. A sad, pathetic little nothing. Because you have no life, and you're not out doing things grown men your age do. So I control you. If I control your time, and I control your money, and you sit around and think up one thing after another you want to try to do to me, and you get caught, and then you do it again the next day, and now it's accumulating, and now it's piling up. And you go into court and lie under oath, 5 years minimum per count. And you keep wanting to know, who told on me? How does she find out? How does she know? It's always beforehand that I know. And that is the risk you're taking, and you do it again every day. Every fucking day. And that defines you. Then I control you, not the other way around. If you don't have anything better to do with your time than sit around and bother me with your sad little maniac crimes, what is it really you control? Because I'm controlling your time, and I'm controlling your money. You're not controlling shit. I have the power. You don't. So listen to what this says.
You're not getting it. You're the soda jerk.
Wait, no. Jeez.
Other men remind me of my daddy, Sheriff Rowan. He has that kind of walk, that kind of power. And he'll use it to hurt you, to punish you.
You can't hurt me. Ain't nothing without me.
He's the lawman. He has the walk.
Beats me, Johns. I pay him. He's my bitch.
Come on, bring it on.
Come on, look at it. Everyone says that Rowan is the big dog. The locals say it, how Magistrate Cotton says it.
Because Rowan needs to believe that. I let him believe that. All the nitwits down in government, Jefferson Cotton, Geary.
Gary, wait, which one's he?
The whole damn courthouse, girl. I'm the big dog. They're mine. You don't talk when I am talking.
She did it.
Did she just... She got every crook in the courthouse.
And whatever.
So,
Question back.
what is it you control? And who's the Sheriff Rowan in this? Who's the bitch of a sex pervert? You know, that's also the question. Who has reduced themselves to that? Josh Person, maybe? Is he the bitch of a sex pervert? If you're busy doing things grown men your age do, and you're busy working, and you're seen with your family in the town where you're supposed to live, visiting with constituents, kissing babies, shaking hands, working. That's what grown men your age do. You control your day. You sit down. You work out your calendar and productive work, or you spend all day, every day, fucking with me. And when you fuck with me, you just get caught more than ever in your life. You've never been caught in your entire life as much as you've been caught since you fucked with me, and you don't know why that is, do you? Why is it that I can quote you verbatim since the McNamara email of 2015 every damn day? So they pulled some little stunt. There's been like this process of what kind of stalking did he do to her at work. We had the Pinto recording that is on the blog. Pinto offered me $5,000 to sleep with Mr. Perry. That's a sex crime. You know what I said? Ew. Gross. I don't think so. And Mr. Perry hits on me, and that's the same thing. We all go, ew, gross. You've been a reject for a decade. Come on now, take the hint. Move on. They wanted to do a false arrest. We just need her to apologize for what? Not liking a weird guy? I mean, come on. This is Pinto. Here. This guy came to me in Stillwater. Your husband sent me. I don't have a husband. No, he did. He sent me your husband. I think you got me mixed up with someone else. Tell me what's the girl look like that you're looking for? Because I'm not her. I'm not married. So it couldn't be the one you're looking for. No, the Texas senator. Oh my God. What in the fuck? I'm not his wife or anything. He's a stalker. I'm suing him. Let's get in reality here. I flip on my recorder and I record this whole thing. There it is. You can listen to it anytime you want. And there's the date that happened. And everything, he's offering me money. So I'm like, he creeps me out. Okay, well, be $5,000 richer and be creeped out for a few hours. And I'm like, no, fuck no. So this is, anybody can see that. That's one contact within the forum state of Oklahoma. And I filed for an order of injunction. There should have been a hearing. There's starting to become a stack of motions that were filed that there should have been a hearing and there wasn't, and that's causing some questions around Mr. Perry's corruption as well, and rightly so, don't you think? Why are we having motions filed and there's no hearing? And then if there is a hearing, it's an ex parte hearing where only he's there, because we're making a backroom deal with a judge. The judge is choosing to be ignorant on fact, but our judge isn't. The one granting investigatory orders, Mr. Perry, he's not. When you sit around all day with your sad little maniac crimes, I own your day. I control your day. I control you. You don't have control over shit. You're defined by me. Don't forget that. I'm the bug that got away. So, hang on a second. Okay, so we have this, the thing that happened at my work. He was taking on my cigarette butts. That's been established for the record. It's actually, a text about that is actually filed in the state case in Tulsa County. And that is CJ-2018-02775. And I filed a shit ton of evidence in all courts, and yet not one hearing where I get to show that evidence. And I'm going to explain how that is perjury. We have U.S. versus Strom, we have U.S. versus Freeland that have established as a matter of law what constitutes perjury when it comes to concealment of a material fact is, 1, the person had a duty to disclose it, 2, they intentionally kept it from the deciding body, and 3, the fact was substantial enough to have changed the outcome if the deciding body knew about it. So that would be called perjury by concealment. And again, 5 years in prison minimum per count. So there's been all these ex parte hearings where I'm not there, so everything I have to say is concealed from the deciding making body. In this case, however, we have judges who choose that. They're not ordering. No, I'm denying an ex parte. We'll have a hearing, though, where everybody gets to participate. These are her lawsuits. She's the plaintiff. The burden of proof is on her. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is I'm not even there. They have the ex parte, and everything's dismissed. And then Mr. Perry types in my phone, I win, check the court docket, check the CJ case, I win. And we're all going, actually, you're fixing to get a prosecutor to sit you down and explain why you didn't. You didn't win. So you put yourself at risk of prison. I control you. You're not controlling me. Because your sad little maniac crime just now defined you. What you are now is a liar. And you'll lie under oath. And if you lie under oath in court, you'll lie anywhere, won't you? Because that, Pinto, constituted a contact within the forum state, which gives the state of Oklahoma jurisdiction over you. And that judge, Morrissey, none of the judges know about it. They didn't take the time to hear it. So how that can change the outcome is like this. So let's say you have a man, and there's a photograph. He's arrested for mugging a woman, an older woman, and there's a photograph of him grabbing her purse and her arm. And they charge him with mugging, and they all go to court, and they put the victim, up on the stand, and she says, "That was not a mugging. That is my son, and I was about to fall, and he grabbed my arm and my purse to steady me." But somebody took a picture of it, so if you just look at the picture, it does look like a mugging. But once it's put with testimony and material facts are disclosed in full to the deciding body, that charge is dismissed because there's no crime. He wasn't mugging her. He's with her. That's his mother. They're shopping together. She was about to fall. He was trying to help her. Whole different scenario, isn't it? When you get all the facts. If for some reason they won't let mom testify, he's screwed, isn't he? But no, not by fault of his own, because it's the prosecutor's job to seek the truth and to put all the information into the court, right? And yet, Mr. Powell destroyed all my evidence. He didn't even attempt to preserve it, which means when they did my little false arrest bullshit, I file a police report in compliance with Oklahoma law where I live. If somebody's threatening death and false arrest, you need a protective order. I'd already tried to get one, forgot the police report, so they knew. They knew that. Marler versus Clower requires it. I filed a police report on the 21st of January. The 29th of January, I'm arrested. Mr. Powell preserved no evidence at all, and there was some. There was blood and hair to show I'd been poisoned. Or not, but we didn't get the test. They made sure I wasn't tested. They, by physical force, prevented and delayed me from reporting the crime to Tulsa police where the crime occurred. That's a RICO violation. This is his habit. We're talking about cumulative events and acts. Sad little maniac crimes that define him because he's got mommy issues. And I'm consuming his day. I'm consuming his time. He's doing everything one does that wants to go to prison. And nothing just legitimate. Like, go to Lubbock. Go with your wife. Go with your kids. Go with your constituents. And leave me and my family the fuck alone. Go do things normal grown men do. Because right now I control your life, don't I? You're defined by me. I'm the bug that got away. So, you gave me that. You give it to me every second you bother me. I'm not in love with you. It's a one-way street. So you got a fantasy in your head. It's not in mine. That's stalking, isn't it? So they're talking about this thing with my work. He's going in. He's having cigarette butts taken. He's having my gum. He's having clothing items. He's going to frame me for a murder. He actually tells some of those people at Lady Godiva as I get pulled into the bathroom. Two of the girls pull me in. What is going on here? What the hell's going on? This guy from Texas says he wants you in jail. He wants to put you in jail. He wants us to make you and Fabian not like each other so much. He wants you in jail. What happened to dinner and a movie? What is this? Who gets a date by putting someone in jail? I'm like, oh my God. No, they told us look for something, find something. Tell us everything she says. We're gonna try to find a way. Get her cigarette butts. Get her gum. You see her spit her gum out. Get it and give it to Margot. Right? Okay. So that was in 2017. And then the last time I was at work, they were asking for my cigarettes. Well, and they'll ask for them smoked or not. But the problem starts coming up when enough girls ask me that don't smoke, they want one of my cigarettes. And I'm like, but you don't smoke. You're not a smoker. Why do you want one of my cigarettes? Oh, once in a while I do. No, I don't think you do. I've never seen you smoke. So I think this is going to Charles Perry, is what I think. Because I know a whole lot more than I say. What I'll do is, for many reasons, one is I want to get information as much as I can. I can't do it if I act like I know something, so I pretend I don't. You just let people be raw. You let people do what they do. You hit play just like I did with Pinto, and then you get what you get, right? It's not that hard. So you listen. Then you start listening to things going on around you, because I do the same thing. Whatever they wanted those girls to do, I do it right back. I do it right back to everything going on around me. Every customer that comes in, I know in 30 seconds whether or not they work for Charles and what they want. I know in 30 seconds. And so, Mr. Pinto, like I said, that was probably 10 seconds that I'm talking to Mr. Pinto before I flipped on my recorder. I've gotten, some of these guys texting stuff. Mickey James, Terry Wagner, and I act like I don't know a thing. I don't suspect a thing. I'll just pretend like I have no idea. I'm nice to everybody, and I'm nice for two reasons. One is that. The other is I know that the people around me are betraying my trust. These are girls I work with. I also know that they get pressured because everybody sees what's going on with me. He put that bitch in jail for nothing. He wants to do it again. This is not how we get a date. This guy's a fucking mafia. So if he tells me I got to do something, I guess I got to do it. I don't have a choice. Coercion. That's coercion. Well, I'm not going to hold that against a 20-year-old little girl. It's got an old fart going at her who says I've got power to put you in jail if you don't do what I say. You got Dead Lucky, you got Framed Mike, you got Almost Dead Cindy. You got Almost Framed Cindy. You think a 20-year-old little girl's going to be held accountable for doing what you told her to do? Hell no. Fuck no. There's no way. I'm not going to do that. It's not fair. So that's the other reason I go in and act like nothing's wrong, because as far as I'm concerned, nothing's wrong. I can handle it. And I have handled it, and I do handle it. I'll just take what information I need as it comes to me. Hit play and go. Hit play and let you do what you do. I'm in control. While you do your sad little maniac crimes that define you, I'm in control. I'm going to collect the evidence of it. I'm very, very good at what I do. So, this is the club on a Friday night that I send out to my attorney. He's running all of our customers off. That's economic abuse. I'm going to take your steak and give you canned food. I'm trying to control you. Economic abuse. Domestic violence crime. What are you even doing at my work? Why are you not in Lubbock doing things grown men your age do, who live in Lubbock and have a, family and a business and constituents? Right? I'm controlling your day. I'm controlling everything. Your money. I control it, not you. I'm in control. If you spend that much time and money trying to fuck with me, and then every time you fuck with me, you just get caught. Right? Isn't that what's been happening? Let's be honest here. Let's deal with reality. The reality is you don't have a cover-up and you don't have a date. So what is it you really want? Are you wanting prison? Is that what you want? Because that's what it seems like you want. You get up every day and you do something to me and I catch it beforehand. My guys, I can't do it by myself. There's no fucking way. My guys catch it and you all want to know who. How'd you find out? Yep. It's need to know. And you're not in the loop. Sorry. So, they're saying, this came up in conversation about, he had all those girls watching her on her phone. They've breached her attorney-client privilege. We don't know what all they saw. They're not going to admit to anything. They're not going to admit to what they saw. Some of them may not even remember. But why are they watching her on the phone to begin with? But now we've got a breach of attorney-client privilege, and we know that because there's texts to her attorney showing an empty club on a Friday night and cars parked out there that shouldn't be parked out there. All over the net. That went to her attorney. So we know she's talking to her attorney on her phone at work, texting or emailing or taking a photo or something. So who all saw that? And what all did they see? Oh, shit. So one night, they send in a county commissioner. I didn't ask him which county he was with. He was very professional. He did not get a lap dance. He wasn't there for that. He wanted to look at the business. At least that's the impression I got. He said, I understand it's been kind of slow in here. And I go, it's been pathetic. Looks full to me right now. Yeah, but these guys aren't usually here. I mean, it is kind of unusually full right now. He leaves, everybody else leaves too. All those guys that were in there were Dave Robertson's migrant workers. And I told the guy, I go, do you see any of them actually spending money? And he goes, no, not really. I point at the VIPs. I go, you see any full VIPs? All 3 VIPs are empty. All the lap dance booths are empty. And this guy put $2 on the stage for that girl. So watch the money. Because we don't care how many people are in here watching us for free. What we care about is revenue. Yeah, that's true, he says. So now the conversation is, well, Mr. Perry just put on a show for the guy, trying to say she lied. But she's got a picture. She's not lying if the picture shows an empty club on a Friday night. He's running off the customers. He's running off what COVID didn't run off. What we got to do actually is take a larger sampling of Mr. County Commissioner went in for 2 hours and the place was packed. And then when he left, they all left. All these guys left too because they were Dave's employees. That whole thing was staged. You can't even use that. It's not a large enough sampling. What you've got to do is actually not look at people in the building. The club keeps track of people that walk in the building. We know on Saturday night, 10 people came in. On Friday night, 20 people came in. They keep track of that. And revenue. Okay, Mr. Perry, get out of my phone. Here we go with the hacking again. So they're keeping track of how many people walked in the building and what the revenue was. And the guy says we need to actually look at the revenue stream over about 2-year period of time. And I promise you, her guys know that. And not only do they know that, they know every single night Perry went and told everybody, buy from everybody but her. Because it's not just about club revenue. It's also about her revenue. The specific problem and question is club revenue and her revenue. Because there were nights he did say, buy from everybody but her. So everybody else made money and I made nothing. He did that intentionally. I was getting nothing on stage. A couple of guys come up. One starts to tip me. And the other one pulled his hand back. You can't tip her. She pissed off some bigwig. They told us we can't tip her. Wow, I'm going. Who's they that told you that? Oh, we got to go. He threw the $2 up and left. Because they got caught. So, a few nights later, I start complaining about it. I start talking about it to my attorney, which should be protected, right? Except Mr. Perry hacks me, so he saw it. You just saw what he did in my phone. Imagine I'm trying to do homework and he changes pages like that. It's very frustrating. Or imagine I'm trying to prepare a legal brief and he sees what I'm doing. So they call the judge and figure out how to deny it. Imagine I put something on my calendar like I'm going to file a 12-1031 pretty soon here, and I put that on my calendar tentatively. Not on the March 2nd, but on March 2nd, I put a tentative date on my calendar. They call Judge Morrissey. They get recorded talking to Judge Morrissey. Yeah, because we got cloning, we got hacking. Federal crime, Mr. Perry. You and your sad maniac little crimes, again, defining you. What is it you control? I'd like to know that. Looks to me like I'm controlling you. If you have nothing better to do than sit here and watch me record a podcast. These aren't live. So how would you know I'm doing a podcast right now to fuck around in my phone, but for peeping and hacking, just like I say? You continue to give me the I told you so factor over and over and over and over. I'd like a list of people you think you're fooling. I think you're stupid. I think you think everybody's as stupid as you, and they're not. I think you're pissing everybody off. And that's why you keep getting caught. And that's why you got leaks. You don't get it. You're not getting it. You don't have any power. How many times were you caught before you met me? How many after? I want that number. I want that number for Charles, Dave, Josh, Joe, and Matt. How many times were you caught in your sad maniac little crimes before you met me? And how many after? And those sad maniac little crimes are all that defines you. You have nothing else. You take away that crime, what's left? What is left to define you? All you have is this, I need a cover-up. I need a lie. I need to make her apologize. I need to make her move back to Texas against her will. I mean, I need this. I need that. I. Selfish. Butt in. Just like the puzzle depicts you. I think you're pathetic. I control your day. I have the power. You don't have shit. You just get caught. So, that was discussed today, too. And also, yesterday, my 4 tires were flat. I go outside and all 4 tires were flat. 2 are new. 2 are brand new. I just bought them. When I bought those tires, they checked my spare. So, somebody got in my wheel well then. I understand a few weeks ago when my ex-husband was in town, you knew we were going to go out to eat and you wanted us to eat at Zio's so that you could plant a gun in the wheel well of my car. the spare tire, where that goes. And I guess when you got all my tires flat, what, did you want me to pull over and ask a cop to help change my tire so he finds this gun you planted? See, I've never owned a gun. I don't have one. I've never had a gun. I've never even held one. Find a picture of me with a gun. Find a way to tie to me to any gun at all. You won't find one. That's not my thing. I don't have anything against people that have guns. I don't want one. I've never asked for one. I've never held one. I've never had one. When my great-granddad died and I was like, gosh, I was a teenager. I wasn't even out of the house yet. My great-granddad gave my dad one of his, it's like a replica. It's not even a real gun. And I picked that up and looked at it and put it right back in the box. So that's the only gun I've held. Replica. Not ever a real gun that shoots real bullets. Never have I been to a shooting range. I've not done anything with guns. That's just not my thing. Mr. Perry, I hate your guts. I have all the reason in the world to want you dead. Because when you're dead, I don't have to deal with your crap ever again anymore. It's over. I can have my freedom back. I can have my money back. I can have my family back. And we won't have to be bothered with you anymore. But you're still alive. 10 years you've done this to me. And you're not one hair on your head is harmed. I could have you Jimmy Hoffa. My guys can get what you just said in the Fabian puzzle to me. You don't think they can make a phone call and you're Jimmy Hoffa and no one would care. You're such a menace. You're such a bother. You cause so much stress and anxiety and everybody's so sick and tired of you. Nobody would care, I promise. But you're still alive and kicking. Because murder is not my way. It's not. My way is grab a legal stick and beat the shit out of him. Beat the fuck out of him. That's my way. With a legal stick. Just don't want to kill people. That's never been my thing. I don't know where the hell you come up with this stuff. It's interesting that there's never been an accusation like that until you come around. And you got a bad habit of lying in court. Where's the political vendetta? Where is it? You were planning the next false arrest while I was in jail for that one. While I was in jail for the first one. And the charges were dismissed a year and a half later. No evidence was preserved because Mr. Powell had no intention of going to trial, did he? I get that in jail. Me. When you focus on you, you is all you're going to end up with. You're all by yourself. There is no woman in love with you. I'm not in love with you. Your fantasies in your head, those are all in your head. They're not real to me. They're not in my head. I don't sit around and fantasize about you, Mr. Perry. You make me go, ew, yuck, duh, yuck. I hate it when you hit on me. It's just gross. You're gross. I mean, you're nasty. You're a skank bitch. Sad, maniac, little criminal with nothing to define him but your sad little crime. Right? So, you were planning a second false arrest while I was in jail for the first one. That's why Mr. Powell didn't collect or preserve any of my evidence. He already knew he obstructed justice. Let's plan the next one. Let's not drop charges for a year and a half, and let's do what's depicted in this email right here. And you can't say you weren't planning that because you did do it in civil court. 5:18-CV-137-C. Sam Cummins. Again, I'm not invited into court. And I had this, and you know what? Somebody kind of looked at it and said, you know, as a litigant, she's going to want to win, so she would have put this email in with her objection, and she didn't. Instead, she holds that out and files it with a motion to vacate on fraud. That is what law enforcement does who is trying to build a fraud case against someone. Yeah, exactly. And you've got 6. I'm not a cop, but I'm working with cops. There's a lot of ways you could do that. You can do that as a CI. If you're a CI, you're not a cop, but you're working with cops, right? And I'm not saying that's what I am. I'm a victim of your crime, that's for sure. And the rest of it is not your business. Not your business. You're not need to know. You don't get to know. But yeah, but you guys were planning this. And oddly, Justice Scalia dies in West Texas right then when you're planning this. He didn't die in D.C. He didn't die at any other time. He's very much a proponent of First Amendment right to free speech. Very, very vocal. He and actually both Justice Ginsburg, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they're opposite on some things. And I saw a joint interview with both of them, and they said, actually, we agree quite a lot. It's just that the issues we disagree on, like gay marriage or abortion, that those are in the news all the time. So it looks like we're in disagreement a lot, and we're actually best friends, and we actually agree a lot more than people know. It's just the things that we agree on aren't all over the news. So a lot of people don't know that we actually agree quite a lot. And one of those that we agree on is the First Amendment right to free speech. The flag burning is protected speech under the First Amendment. New York Times, or Sullivan versus New York Times. Garrison versus Louisiana. Right? See, I'm some stupid stripper, right? I don't think so. I think you didn't know what the hell you were dealing with. I think you still don't. I think you have zero grasp on reality. I think you can no longer tell the difference between fact and fiction. But that judge is not in D.C. when I'm in jail and they're planning all this. He's in West Texas where we all were. And that's when he died. And then William O'Ritchie comes out and says, if Justice Scalia had died in D.C., post-mortem procedures would have been followed, and they weren't in Texas. So what's going on? Something's wrong. Maybe he didn't die of natural causes. It might be that he was murdered, and maybe he was murdered because you wanted to use me as a test case before the Supreme Court. You got a bad habit of killing people and making it look like something else. How can we kill Cindy and it not be linked to me? How can I get her fired and it's not linked to me? How can I arrange a false arrest and it's not linked to me? Thing is, you got police on you and they record every fucking thing you say. So if I find out beforehand, like, you want to frame me for a murder, knowing good and well I didn't do that murder, my guys would put me in jail. They know me inside, outside, backward, and forward. And I always find out beforehand, which means you were recorded planning it. And this is to establish that you premeditated some crime against me, and the intent was malicious. The intent was to cause an injury. The intent was to harm me. And so, there's nothing political about that. Framing somebody for a false arrest or a murder or whatever it is you do, weirdo, is not political, not part of your legislative duty. It seems like you're very unclear on what your legislative duties are. Like you're not sure what the hell you're supposed to be doing as a legislator. One thing though is you're not really doing anything, are you? Because I control your day and I control your money, don't I? You're not sitting down and coming up with a work schedule that you can then go to Tulsa Police and say, here's my work schedule. This is what I've done all day. So I wasn't stalking her. I wasn't watching her in the privacy of her home against her will. I'm not doing what she says. Here's my schedule and here's my proof. You can't do that, can you? Nope, you can't. Or our guys, when they arrest you, and then you have to go in there and tell them, what you been doing with your time, Mr. Perry? Where have you been? Are you in Lubbock where she is? Remember, she moved twice to get away from you. So are you where she is all the time? Is she consuming your day with your sad little maniac crimes? And you have nothing else to define you? Because you don't do anything else all day. You sit on your fat ass and watch everybody else have a life. Right? Is that how that works? So we have this. I'm trying to find a lot here, isn't there? See, on March 3rd, I type in my Google Calendar, this is the tentative date to file a 12-1031. They couldn't pick up the phone fast enough. They're getting information illegally they should not have. They call Morrissey, and that's what happened in that conversation. Everything that's in this email. There's actually more to it. This is part of it. This is what I typed up to show I heard the conversation. They've got a lot more. They got the whole conversation. So, my guy says, okay, just stop. Run out the clock, 2 years. Let them do what they do, and then you'll have more evidence against them. And it might be if they keep, once I express intent to file a 12-1031, it's hands off. It's hands off. And your attorneys don't seem to get that is the law. It is illegal to out of court harass someone, to impede the court proceedings when you know there's an intention to file something. So you keep trying to get my money. You keep trying to force me back to Texas. And you've been doing that since February, right before I was supposed to testify for Mike. And oddly, I didn't get to testify for Mike. Again, we got concealment of a material fact because I did know Mike was drugged 2 months before anyone else said it. Again, that's beforehand. So who is controlling your day? Are you doing things to define you that are not criminal? Or are you just sitting around all day doing your sad little maniac crimes because you're pathetic and you have nothing else? Nothing else. You control nothing. I'm controlling you. I'm the bug that got away. I'm the bug that caught you. When you're in jail, Mr. Perry, all you guys, because we got this and we're building this and this happened and I got it and this happened and I got it and this happened and I got it. I want you to remember who it is that did all that. And I want the number. How many times were you caught before you started fucking with me? And how many after? Because you guys have been at this all your lives. This isn't, you don't wake up at age 70 and start doing all this shit. You've been doing this your whole life. All your lives, every day. Sad little maniacs with no power. No form of expression. Defined only by your sad little crime. Right? Got a mommy issue, you can't control it. No ability to go be normal. You're powerless, you're weak, you're pathetic, and you're impotent. So, I want to know, who's the Sheriff Rowan in this deal? Who has aspired in their career in law enforcement to be the bitch of a sex pervert? I think whoever it is, you can do better. I think we know Josh Burson is that. I pay him. He's my bitch. Okay, that's, wow. Best you can do is be the bitch of a sex pervert. I'm sorry, I wouldn't want my career defined like that. But we are defined by what we do all day, aren't we? With our activities and our time and our money, that defines us. And if the best you can do is be the bitch of a sex pervert, I'm sorry for you. I really am. And if the best you can do is sit around and watch people who have a life and commit one little sad maniac crime after another and get caught over and over and over and over, I control you, don't I? How many times were you caught before you met me? How many after? Do what you do.